having the cash back in the pocket to go, buy another deal. What people call the BRRRR strategy now didn't have a name then. I thought
Right.
I thought it was genius.
Yeah.
It's like free money, free assets, free income, free freedom. And
Yeah.
so did about 10 of those in a row, built up a little portfolio. 2017 rolls around, we're about to do another movie for about 6 million bucks, and we
Better.
okay.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome. Um, all right. Stock market looks like shit, so we don't need to talk about that.
Nope.
It's headed down. I'm here with my friend Obin. He's been in real estate longer than me, I believe, and doing it in a big way. So I thought we'd bring him on here and talk about what he's doing. He again doing it in a bigger way than I do it, and it's cool to hear everybody's perspective and how they approach this asset class, man. So tell them a little bit about yourself, maybe how you got started in real estate and what you're doing now.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. So I actually started in media, believe it or not.
Hmm.
Me and my brother were commercial directors. We did a lot of TV ads and marketing and stuff for big firms around the country. And so that was 19 years old to like 28. Then we branched over and started doing Hollywood in 2008 when we had the market disaster. We started doing Hollywood and took some credit cards and all of our trucks and vans and crew and everything and drove down to Alabama and did our first feature film, which was called Unknown Caller. And it was a thriller in a house, kind of an Alfred Hitchcock style movie. And that kind of blew up, I guess. We sold it worldwide, had good success, especially coming out being fresh in the game and nobody knowing who we were. And pretty much moved that into 4 feature films after that. Meanwhile, we were doing real estate on the side. Built a studio in Atlanta, Georgia, and the problem is like any creative endeavor, right? It's hard to get financing for it. It's hard to get the cash you need to do it unless you're somebody. So we were actually, right after the crash of 2008, I was doing some real estate on the side, buying some houses for half price. Echo.
Yeah, I think I fixed it.
Okay. Buying houses for half price on the side after the 2008 crash, fixing them up, refinancing them, putting renters in them, getting that cash flow, and then having the cash back in the pocket to go, buy another deal. What people call the BRRRR strategy now didn't have a name then. I thought
Right.
I thought it was genius.
Yeah.
It's like free money, free assets, free income, free freedom. And
Yeah.
so did about 10 of those in a row, built up a little portfolio. 2017 rolls around, we're about to do another movie for about 6 million bucks, and we kind of just took a deep dive and said, is the financial picture really worth it in the creative for the amount of work that we put into it, when it's obvious from a spreadsheet what you can do in real estate for the same amount of work and what it will reward you. And so we scraped together, I think we had like at the time 600K in cash. It was me and my brother and my dad, and we'd scrape money together from doing movies, and then we'd had probably $1 million in bank lines of credit from different
Wow.
banks all over the place. Just 100K, 200K, 300K, and we had been using those to do films. And we said, you know what? Let's use all this. Let's use all this borrowed money as a down payment. We know we're not supposed to, but we know if we find a good deal, we'll be able to get these suckers back out in
Right.
12 to 24 months, and they'll never know the difference, right? So 2016, 2017 rolled around, about the end of the Great Depression on apartments and stuff across America. We found one of the last remaining deals. It was 125 units, and it was in bad shape. I mean, it had bullet holes in the front doors. It was nasty. And the thing is real estate, it's all about where your property is, not about the property itself. And it was in a good area. So we knew we could turn it around. And so we made the executive decision to go do a big piece of real estate instead of a movie. went up there and sat on this thing, ran crews just like running a movie crew for 9 months in a row, and yeah, I think we made 4x on our equity, and we bought it for
Nice.
6.3 million, and we sold it a year and a half ago for 13.5.
Wow.
And it's just like, okay, well, I guess this shit scales.
Right.
Same numbers as an $80,000 house, just multiply times 120 houses in one fell swoop, right? And,
So
and so yeah,
the math is the same. It's just zeros, right?
it is. It really is. If you run it right, not only is the math the same, but the math is way better. Because like I remember doing roofing on that place, and I got on my calculator. I was like, okay, so I know a roof on a single family is going to be like $4,000 or $5,000 all in to replace it, right? And I did my division on the roofing and stuff that we were doing up there on 129 units. I think it was like 7 buildings, and it came out to like $900 a unit, all in.
Wow. Once you broke it down.
Yeah, I mean it was 900 unit all in. So not only does it scale, but it gets way better when you have way more units, right? Because the roofers are up there doing one building, right? They're just charging you per square, right? But you've got 3-4 times the amount of units that square is covering, right? If your building's 3 or 4 stories tall, but the roofers don't get any more because they're per square.
Yeah.
So that happens across everything: siding, sheetrock, windows, decking, parking lots. I remember, going in and getting pricing for, all the asphalt to replace on the entire property. Yeah, it was like $80,000, but equivalent if you'd done a driveway in your house, it'd probably be. I mean, I don't know what the pricing was at the time, 4 or 5 grand, 6 grand, easy.
Right.
And once again, it was probably $800-900 per unit, right, on a multi.
Wow.
But I'm still getting the same rent.
Getting the same rent on a per door basis. Yeah, man. Yeah, that part is pretty amazing when you can see how guys can scale it up, and when you get into 10, 20, 30 units. What are the minimum size units you're trying to buy now?
Over 80, over 100,
Okay.
really. And the
Really?
reason there's a key reason to that, because I can't afford real management and real maintenance techs 24/7, fully staffed,
Right.
under 100 units. It doesn't make any kind of sense. But over, it makes all the sense in the world. Matter of fact, I'd rather have 250 units, and I'd rather have 8 staff on the thing. Because remember, you're dealing with that one property, right? You're dealing with that one area. So you have 8 people running it versus you can barely afford 2 to run it. It's going to run a whole lot better. It's just going to be a lot better experience for the tenants. The property's going to be taken care of better. You're going to have enough overhead to pay, even a third-party management company what they need. We just went third party for the first time. Just bought a deal in Texas, 129 units, and it was a no-brainer. Like, okay, third party, let's go, rock and roll. They were already on the property. They're doing a good job. Their P&L was good. Their historical expenses were decent. Slide right in. Listen, we took over the property. I don't think my brother and I he didn't even walk the property until we had already bought it and owned it for 2 weeks. I went down there for one time. They did it, they're doing the financials, they're doing the bank transfers, they're doing, all the work that it takes to close a deal was put off 100% on the third-party management company and the broker who was the broker for the capital on the debt.
Wow.
So all we had to do was sign signatures. It was unbelievable. Because I remember our first big deal, it was months and months of us grinding to do all that takeover work ourselves. And that's not necessary now. Yeah, I paid for it. Paid 50 grand for the broker to get the loan closed, but said, hey, you want the loan, you're going to do all this work.
Right.
And he did it. It's worth it.
So, yeah, a lot different than doing a single family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So that you kept the management that's there. Now, on a deal like that, you have investors with you?
No, not on that deal. So we sold Dallas, which you may have seen me in the last couple of years working on.
Yeah, that was you were on that during COVID, right? Man, you had some issues during that. Like half the people stopped paying rent, didn't they?
Oh, it was gnarly, dude. It was gnarly.
Yeah,
That
I think we
property
were
was gnarly. We did underground plumbing, we did in-wall plumbing, we did full electrical inside and outside. I mean, mine's well have just built a new community.
right.
Seriously,
And that was an old at one time that looked like it was an old like hotel or something, right?
it looked like that. It was built 1968,
Yeah.
same style, but it was always in an apartment, little two
Okay.
bedrooms, 600 unit deal,
Don't they call those garden something? They have a name
garden
for
low rise.
garden low rise. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Garden low rise. Because I've looked at a bunch of those trying to get into thinking about getting into multifamily, and those would be in the price point,
those are
those
great. I mean, they're ugly, so you've got a lot of upside to make them look good. If you're
right.
good with artwork on the outside, um, they're usually fairly inexpensive to maintain. Don't get uh, cast iron pipes ever.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah. That's a fucking nightmare, right?
I opened up a wall and we had a cast iron pipe. It was probably like a 2 foot long crack,
Hmm.
about that wide, and raw sewage just running down. And I was like, if there's one, there's probably 167 here.
Yeah. Ah. Yeah. Yeah, man, the old pipes. I've run into a lot of problem with that in our area where I buy property. You have a lot of those older houses will have those old pipes, and it's that smell,
Oh
and
yeah,
you're either smelling natural gas, if it's a gas pipe, or you're smelling sewage, and it's like,
I can
yeah,
walk into an apartment now, apartment community, and open one door and tell you whether or not I want to buy it by the smell.
it really is true. Once you have dealt with the product that you're into, I'm that way with houses. Like I'll do my due diligence. But 99% of the time, I know in the first 30 seconds of opening the door and then walking toward the kitchen, I already know this is going to work or it's not going to work. And then we just start digging in to make sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd get a sense, a
Mhm.
third
You can smell
sense.
it too, like you
Oh yeah,
said. Because, and I don't know, people may think we're crazy. There are certain smells in a house that alert you to issues. And it's not just obvious shit like dog pee. I mean, that's obvious. But there's smell of mold. There's the
yes,
smell of water, like water's been leaking in this property. You can smell it. Yeah, that's funny. I hadn't thought about that in a minute. And if you
yeah.
crawl, like I crawl under houses quite a bit, and they should have a dirt smell if everything's good. It should
Hmm.
just be dirt. And if it smells like something else is going on. Yeah, that's
So
funny.
true,
So,
especially this old stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean, wow. That's a fast move. So, and you did that over and I watch your stuff on Instagram, and you're 100% committed to that. And I teach this idea of the 9 thoughts on getting rich, and thought number 3 is you have to structure your life around it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I see you doing that. I remember one time you were posting, I think you were like sleeping on the floor or some shit.
Oh yeah.
Out
I
there
mean, I
buying
just,
apartment buildings, sleeping
dude,
on the
I just,
floor.
I just moved into a nice car and living a life. I mean, I could have
Right.
done it years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like you get the mindset of wealth building and it becomes automatic.
Right.
And when you look around and even when you start to want something nice, you're just like, that doesn't make any financial sense. Why would I do it? So you have to get to a point where you're at a certain level where it's just like, well, shit, it doesn't matter at all. So I guess I'd love to have it. So then you get
Right.
it.
Yeah. And you start to create, like, you start to value, like, getting that apartment building more than other things in a sense that you get joy out of it. You get pleasure out of the deal, finding it. The same pleasure someone might get out of buying a handbag or going to Disneyland. You're getting that out of finding that deal, getting through the process, getting it done, getting it. Now all of a sudden rent checks are coming in. You get that same feeling, I'm sure.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And that wears off,
Most
and so we
most
go look
most
for another
most
one.
people, yeah, most people get it from new TVs and handbags and junk that
Right.
depreciates, and I get it from things that make me richer for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, because I get that a lot. Kids will ask me, well, when are you going to enjoy life? And I'm like, I am. Like, I actually enjoy this shit, man. And if you don't, then you're not going to want to sleep on the floor when you're a multimillionaire.
Yep.
Like, you're just not going to want to make those trades. I've been doing some YouTube videos I call Life as a Trade. And it's not just real stocks that are a trade, man. Everything's a trade. Like you're trading your time, you're trading your talent. We're making trades every day, whether we think about it or not. I mean, we really are.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
a great way to look at it too.
Yeah. And
It's
real, real
totally.
estate's a trade. One day we're going to trade out because we're going to die. Somebody's going to get it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think about that a lot. It's like, what if we ever, we were just talking about wills the other day, and it's, not conversations you like to have, but you need to have them. And if you got partners, it's easy. But once we get past that person to the next person, and you start thinking this through, it's like, I don't know, shit. Can I do the King Tut thing? Can I take it with me?
I just want to give it somewhere that guarantees that some forests are saved, some oceans are cleaned up, something
Right.
good for the
That's what I'm
biosphere that
thinking.
we live in.
Right. That's what I'm thinking too. Like, is there some way down the road when I do leave, it somehow keeps doing good shit past me? It won't
That's what
forever, but it
foundation.
could forever.
That's what foundations are for, and trusts and stuff. So start looking into
Right.
that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So you would say you're still in you know how they have phases of wealth. I'm sure you've seen that where people are kind of, they're still in the debt and the struggle phase. I forget what they call that. And then you get in the accumulation phase where you're in a state of constantly accumulating. Then they say people start to kind of plateau. Um, although some people just keep accumulating. Like, that's one of the beautiful things about what we're doing in real estate is you can keep playing. I mean, there's guys that are 85 years old playing. I mean, you
Oh
can keep
yeah, I
playing.
mean this is a beautiful game. It doesn't depend on your body. It just depends on your mind, right? And that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the things. Like when I was an athlete, 14 to 20 years old, I was a serious hardcore athlete, but I was smart enough to think about what was my runway.
Right.
Like what is real? Like, okay, 40 years old, that's your runway in the sport I was doing, and so I really took that to heart and decided that
Yeah.
for the rest of my life I would do things that had no limitation on age, and then got into media and then now into finance and wealth building. It's got no
Yeah.
limits.
Stocks offer people that too. And I always get mad when I see stuff about, well, when you're 65, you need to move it all to buy. I'm like, what? Why the hell would I stop investing because I'm 65? Like, maybe I
What
want to get more aggressive.
Why would we listen to people that are telling us something that to help their bottom line?
Right. That's usually what that shit is. And I always try to remind people, and I have friends that are financial advisors. They're good dudes, but they have a script.
Yep.
And just like if you go to a Ford dealership, he's going to sell you a Ford. He's not trying to sell you a BMW. Even though once you describe your situation, maybe the best option is the Toyota. He's not going to suggest that most likely. He's going to like, hey, let me show you this Ford we got.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you got to look at everything from a third party perspective. You got to look at the chessboard and see here's me and here's the other guy. We're having a conversation, and now I'm up here in my mind looking down on both of them having a conversation and seeing what each side's trying to do. What's my goal? What's his goal?
Right.
What does he get out of the trade? What do I get out of the trade?
Mm-hmm.
Is he saying what he's saying in my best interest truly, or is it really in his best interest? And to be
Yeah.
able to suss that out, whether you're working with contractors, investors, partners, whatever it is, if you've got to be able to have that level of awareness to be able to navigate and not have stuff go wrong.
Right.
You know,
So what? Yeah, you're saying basically see where everyone's interest lies, and you
absolutely
really want our interests mutually benefited each other, right?
in real time.
In real time, right? And
Yeah,
if I
watch
make
watch.
more, you make more. That's the best relationship, man.
I mean, I'm
Um,
going to say a key to what I figured out is that I'm the nucleus, and that every party involved in talking to me and doing anything and what we're doing is benefiting,
mhm.
then it automatically works. The
Right.
moment one leg or one piece of it is not aligned right, then that falls to shit. And whatever that piece of it was will never work, whether it be the roofing guy, whether it be the lender, you know, whoever's involved, right? It's all parties. So when you learn that you are the nucleus, and then you realize that it's all a puzzle, and you're adding pieces to your so you have your goal, your trajectory where you're headed, right? Your vector, and then you need other people to do it because you can't do anything by yourself. So then you
Right.
add all these pieces and make sure that they're winning as a puzzle. Now you've got a team, and now you can
Right.
step back and watch the team work.
Some people too, when they start getting this, they want to try to cheat all the team. Meaning,
Been there,
if
done that. Doesn't work.
no, and you, yeah, you want to get deals if you can, but that doesn't mean you want to. Like I see people trying to cheat the real estate agent out of the cut or the broker. It's like, hey guys, we all got to eat here, man. Like, and
There's
yeah,
market, there's over market, and there's under market.
mm-hmm,
And I've learned that to understand and see quickly what market is, understand what market is, know in the back of my head whether it's a countertop guy, whether flooring people or a lender, a fee, a rate, a point in and out, whatever it is, you know what market is. And once you understand what market is, you can immediately know whether or not you're getting an okay deal, a great deal, or a terrible deal. And
right,
then you're good.
and you're good. You are, and and knowing too times maybe because of his skill set, maybe he deserves a higher pay. Maybe because of his dependability. Like, I mean, there are people with reputations and skill sets that need to be compensated more than other people.
Yeah, and another thing you can do is, okay, I need this guy, I need his skill set. I'm going to pay him too much, okay? But okay, let's take a look at this puzzle, right? So what's he got? He's got him, he's got his suppliers, he's got his workers, he's got his this, his that, his overhead, his different pieces. So then you go, okay, I want you. I'm willing to pay you what you're worth. But
Right.
help me work with your structure. Let's lean and mean your structure. Let's figure out a way to save me some money, still get the money in your pocket, but
Right.
cost me a little bit less. And so then you put the burden onto them, and then say, whatever it is you're trying to hit, your target, right? This is what we need to hit. I don't want to cut you, but what do you think you can do on your side and your structure and your company to make this work? And then he'll go, oh, well, we could, it'll take longer, but we could put my one guy on the roof. It'll take an extra week. That'll save you some money, blah, blah, blah. Then you start working through how to hit the target that I need and still
Right.
keep the guy who's important, who is very critical, properly paid.
What about that? Like, so going from how many houses did you have when you sold them and made the
10.
jump multi?
Well, so I had the 10 while we were, I mean, I had bought the 10 and we're sitting on those, holding them, and then we made the jump to the bigger stuff. I think 3 or 4 jumps, and then I
Okay.
sold them.
Okay, so you had the houses when you bought your first multi.
Oh yeah, and second,
Okay.
and third, and maybe
Right.
fourth.
Right. I've been experimenting. Well, before I get to that, have you found the contractors? That's always my hardest part, dealing with carpenters, and that's how I've learned to do a lot of shit because they would fail me,
Yeah.
and I didn't have the money to pay them. But as you've scaled up, have the contractor professionalism gone up, or is it still a constant fucking battle?
Depends on who you hire. If you hire a Craigslist, crackhead, it's going to be a
Right.
constant battle. But when you scale up and you have the capital and you run your numbers properly, you can afford to pay the good people with their bonded, licensed, insured to have a little crew,
Right.
right? It all comes back to how you buy. Did you buy it with enough meat on the bone to make your life easy to be able to hire professionals? Or did you scrape by, skim by, hope, pray, borrow the money, have no extra cash, no float, no nothing, and you're just like, fuck, I got to do this myself.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times, yeah. Yeah. It's so that's interesting. That's good news then. And I was gonna say I've experimented. I bought a Airbnb property, and what it is, it's a beach house in Panama City Beach, just oceanfront. Like you're sitting on the deck, there's the ocean, and it's really cool. And I've turned that over to management. So I'm really researched a few management companies, talked to some people that had managers, and narrowed it down, interviewed them, all that, and it's been pretty cool. So this is my first real experiment with hands-off management.
Love
Like,
it, man.
now I went down there a bunch of times, and I went down and oversaw the construction, and they were
Yeah,
sending us
yeah.
pictures.
Keep your hands on it. Yep.
Mhm.
Keep your hands
Stayed
in
there,
it. Know what's
stayed
going
there
on.
a week after they finished. Enjoyed the beach, found the cool bars so I could tell people where to go, and then left. Gave them the keys, so to speak. They use punch pads now. It's all fancy. had to buy like this $800 lock, and
Yep.
fully automated now. And so far, man, I've just been shocked. Like the rent, I'm getting double the house that I've 1031 to buy this. It was a 200,000 plus house, but I'm only getting 1,200 rent. It was just you couldn't get any more rent in my area. It just doesn't matter how much the
So,
house is
so,
worth.
so it made more sense financially for you to grab that equity out and put it somewhere it was going to make way more money than to sit
Right.
on that equity dead in a
Mm-hmm.
bad return.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it was getting 4 or 5. I don't know what it's getting because there was no more loan pay down. It was paid for. There was no leverage, and it was a nice little 1,200. But shit, it's worth 200. Like so, we rolled that, and now it's brought in 3 months what that thing would have grossed in a year plus. I mean,
Exactly. See, the thing is, the bankers have you by the short hairs because they know that leverage is going to